Having established that everyone understood the task, Kath made sure that pupils started work. This gave her the opportunity to undertake some focused teaching with individuals or pairs. She had organised pupils so that they were able to support each other in the learning. For example, Victoria and Sally, Matthew and Amy, and Peter and Alice worked together. When Kath reorganised the seating, Mike accidentally left his pencil case behind. He tried to retrieve it in a manner that would cause the least disturbance to the class, but Kath spotted him and inquired, in a rather rude manner, about the reason for his behaviour. Mike explained politely, but rather than accepting his explanation and continuing with the lesson, Kath criticised him and threatened to put him on report.
Danger of being put on report, Michael.
But I need it.
Well, you should have thought of that before, shouldn't you?
Kath moved about the classroom checking on pupils' learning. The noise level was a low hum, as pupils quietly discussed their work. Kath stopped beside Matthew to find out why he hadn't started his work. This did not appear to be a genuine attempt to find out what was holding him up, but rather an opportunity to inform the class of her opinion on laziness.
Sorry, miss.
Matthew apologised.
The
The public way in which Kath spoke to Matthew prompted 3 girls at the back of the room to stop work and comment on what she had done. Kath noticed this and moved in to admonish Becky. Rather than refocusing Becky on the task, Kath reminded her of her previous poor behaviour and the punishment that she had received. Kath's frustration about not achieving the progress she wanted with this class was clear.
I only want people in my class who want to work, understand?
Yes, miss.
When Ryan knocked his pen onto the floor, Kath responded with,
Leave it where it is, clumsy boy.
But miss, I need...
and moved towards him.
Quiet.
She redirected him with an
People are trying
effective
to get on
statement.
with what they're supposed to be doing. What you should be doing is looking at shapes containing right angles.
But
And
followed
you
this
don't
by humiliating
precisely
Ryan in front of the
one.
class.
Look at this, St. PT. This is a very good example of how I don't want you to do your work.
Ryan's distress and discomfort were evident. As Kath monitored pupils' work, she missed several opportunities to encourage pupils who were focused on task, and some of her comments disturbed pupils who were concentrating hard. For example, her intervention with Eleanor, whose planner was in her bag rather than on her desk. Kath paused to praise David for working hard, but the lack of congruence between her body language and tone of voice was confusing.
You're working hard.
David, who was momentarily delighted at being praised, was then crushed by the criticism that followed.
For a change.
Kath's manner softened as she praised Rochelle. The message was private. There was warmth in her voice and she smiled. Rochelle appeared unsure how to respond and chose a low-key smile. Tom was off task, sharpening his pencil. Kath asked.
What do you think you're doing?
Tom's expression showed that he knew that he was not expected to reply. Kath returned to Charlotte and Sam, who had been working well, and broke their concentration with unnecessary comment.
Finally.
Charlotte seemed to find this disturbing. She rolled her eyes and put her pen down. Similarly, as Amy was helping Matthew with something that he wasn't sure about, Kath stabbed at his work, presumably to point out his error. Matthew sighed. His expression showed that he was disheartened. He looked to Amy for support and encouragement. When Kath returned to the front of the class, the way she looked at her watch suggested that she was irritated by the time it had taken for the class to complete this task.
It pleases me when I see a class enjoying mathematics, because we've had a real struggle to raise the status of the subject, especially amongst those pupils who find it difficult. I was pleased to see how Kath included Billy in the lesson, checking his progress to inform future planning with Mrs. Latimer. Kath has a relaxed and confident manner and obviously enjoys the company of these pupils. She's able to share a little joke with them without it becoming an issue. Most pupils enjoy her lessons and feel that they are making good progress. They seem to want to please her and meet her high expectations. The attendance in her lessons is very good, around 97% I think. An important element of Kath's success is the respect she shows to both colleagues and pupils. Groups have been discussing rights and responsibilities as part of the tutor programme, and respect is featured strongly in these discussions. I know Kath has explored these issues with her group, and she does present an excellent role model.
Although Kath accepts that teaching behaviours that help pupils learn is an integral part of her role, she has misinterpreted the way that this can be achieved. She seems convinced that pupils are employing a number of deliberate strategies to avoid doing their best in maths. Some behaviour in this lesson was not necessarily unacceptable, but it irritated Kath because she felt pupils were not fully engaged in the maths task she had set.
Sorry, miss.
Rather than helping pupils to refocus on learning, Kath became caught in a spiral of interventions related to low-level, off-task behaviours, which actually disturbed the learning of the whole class. Kath's style of behaviour management seems to be to catch pupils behaving in a way that she finds unacceptable, drawing attention to this, and then berating pupils and threatening to apply excessive sanctions. This can result in learning which is limited and of poor quality, and it is likely that Kath's belief that pupils do not try hard enough will be confirmed. For example, disturbing even pupils who are working well produces a negative classroom climate and raises anxiety levels. Pupils are reluctant to ask for help and afraid to make mistakes. When Kath publicly criticised Eleanor for not having her planner on her desk, it not only affected Eleanor, but other pupils in the class. In managing the class the way she does, Kath models a range of behaviours that she'd be very upset to see pupils copy. Kath demonstrates that she does value relationships with pupils by the way that she responded to Rochelle. In this exchange, her verbal and non-verbal communication gave the same message, and she did not contaminate the praise that she gave.
Very good. As usual.
But in the classroom climate that Kath has established, pupils find it difficult to accept her praise, suspecting that it may not be genuine. If Kath praised pupils more often, in a sincere way, pupils might begin to accept it, enjoy it, and feel motivated to do their best.